I'm Natalie. Welcome to the Stride Sisters podcast. On today's episode, it's all about the attractions between Walt Disney World and Disneyland. I share about the closures that occurred in 2025, as well as fond memories of those rides and attractions. I also chat about some upcoming seasonal refurbishments, as well as new, exciting openings to come in 2026. So, lace up your shoes and step into the magic with us. Hello, everybody. I'm flying solo this week again, and I hope you are having a wonderful holiday and that you got to enjoy a lot of good times with your family, friends, good food, good rest, and are staying warm if it's cold and snowy where you live, or even if it's just cold. It's a little, it's winter kind of winter at this point in time. So I had an enjoyable holiday with my family, and getting more snow in Omaha at the moment. So, again, that's just kind of what to expect at this time of the year. But in terms of training updates, we actually had a relatively mild Christmas. So I was able to get in a good amount of mileage. Not that I'm really trying to do much that's heavy at the moment, because I've already done my long race or long run in preparation for Dopey, and it's really just maintenance from here on out. But I've been mixing in some nice treadmill walks. I enjoyed on Christmas morning a Muppet Christmas Carol hot girl walk on the treadmill. So that was fun. And then walking my mom's dogs while I've been home, and that's been enjoyable. Different ways to get mileage in. Also, my dog in-laws. I don't know how to actually phrase that, but my in-law family dogs as well. So good times, trying to stay active a little bit, at least, just to keep the blood pumping and moving. Done a little bit of weight training too, but at this point, as we inch closer and closer to marathon weekend, I am not trying to do too much, be too sore, because I know the soreness is coming with marathon weekend. But I did cross an exciting threshold. I crossed 950 miles for 2025, which is bonkers now that I think about it. I'll probably, I don't know. I don't want to really put an estimate on this because I'm recording on Sunday and you're listening to this Tuesday or later. So I don't know. I don't really anticipate getting a whole ton more mileage in, but maybe another hot girl walk for some more Disney content will be in order. But that's been exciting. It's a big threshold. I capped at 850 last year, so 100 extra miles. So even noting that I had a little bit of a rough November and recovering from Chicago and stuff. And, I know the overwhelming question has been, well, as I'm goal setting, and I still need to roll forward my tracking spreadsheet for next year. But goal setting, it's oh, well, what are you going to do for, you want to grab 1,000 next year? And right now my answer is no. If it happens, great, but I'm not going to strive for it. I think it's probably better off that I don't. Because, and you can replay this later when I am, make a different decision. But I think I'm going to take a little time off from the marathon distance. Right now, I don't have a fall marathon on the calendar, and I think that that's good. I probably will, I don't know. I don't want to pretend I'm probably not going to do Goofy or Dopey next year in 27, but I probably will. And I think that, I don't know, I in terms of, well, I guess I can just get into some goal setting. Things in 2026, I really want to get back in with strength training for sure. I'm looking forward to doing Run Fit Mama's Sculpt and Soar. It's I wish I could have done it last year, but I needed to be higher in mileage at the time. So some body recomp, because I've also missed weightlifting a bit. So it's funny because then like the balance comes in where in 2024, when I was doing a little bit more weightlifting leading up to my wedding than I was running, then I was like really ready to get back into running and stuff. But I have missed having on like a more consistent weightlifting schedule. So that'll be really exciting and fun for me. I obviously have a lot of racing coming up, right? I'm going Dopey to Dumbo to Princess. Right now I don't have a springtime bib, but you guys all know how that goes. So probably see you there. But even if I don't, that's going to be just fine. But I do want to kind of I don't want to say take some time off of running, because also that doesn't ever work, because usually I'm running like 2 to 3 days a week anyway. It's just that I don't have to do it on Saturday, and I don't have to, it's just what I feel like. But I don't know. I'm excited to kind of have a little bit of a reset. I can tell that I'm in like burnout mode a little bit with it. And I want to be able to refine the joy. And, I don't want to get so deep into burnout mode that I start dreading running. And with some of, the Chicago recovery, there was a little bit of dread going into some runs, and I don't like that feeling. I want to keep it a healthy, safe, enjoyable space. So not over-indexing myself by, I'm trying to step away from more culture where, I did 2 marathons in 3 months in 2025 into 2026. That's great if that's for you, but it's just something that I think I've learned is not for me. Just being on the marathon grind for that long. And maybe I do change my mind. Maybe I get to like July and I'm like feral and I really want to do a fall marathon. Great. I can maybe figure one out. I know every women's marathon is usually late in November. So if I'm already training for halves, I don't know. I can just figure something out along the way. Another goal that I really want to accomplish in 26 is that I need to renew my proof of time. My proof of time was from spring of 2024. The next season of registrations is going to be the last time that I can use that POT. And the POT, that's my PR, to be specific. So there's the marathon POTs, and then there's the ones that don't get you for the marathon. Basically, the resounding thing is that Disney probably uses Macmillan to calculate and transfer a half marathon into a marathon proof of time. So it's said that it's around 2:22 for your half marathon. So I need to get another one that's under 2:22. So I'll be able to use mine again for probably the inevitable Dopey in 27 or Goofy. I don't know. Maybe I'm feeling maybe I'll stick to that. But after that, if I want one for 28, like I don't have one. So, and it's not the end of the world. I'll be fine if I don't have a POT, but I like having a POT, and it's been, it's like a reflection of some of the hard work that I've put into that I have that. And I do have a POT that works for a half marathon that is under the 2:30 mark. This is funny that I brought this up at this point, but just given that this will be your final reminder for your POT for springtime. Woohoo! But it's okay if it doesn't happen. Also, because I do have some time in 2027 to get that POT, just based on the deadlines, just that I don't want to wait until it's like June of 27 to be like looking for a race that's like flat, fast, etc., that I can like get that. I'd like to, have some wiggle room. I don't think I'll do the same race that I did to get my POT. It was a local St. Patrick's Day themed race in Omaha. I think I'll do a different one. I guess we're all about story time right now, but for a period of time last year, they were doing maintenance on the website for this race. So my link gave me an error. And when did I discover this, you ask? In June of 2025. So right before marathon weekend POT was due. And what I did is I reached out to Run Disney and asked basically, what do I do? Because I'd rather just put in an estimated finish time and be in like D, or wherever that puts me, then I would put in a link that like then is going to be dead. So they actually forwarded me to Track Shack. I also reached out to the race organizers to let them know that your website's down. So what I was able to do is I got a good amount of evidence from the race organizers, and they explained to me that, we are working on the website and updating it for next year's event. That's why. And then I also heard back from Track Shack, and they told me, and I forwarded them all the information that I had. I had the email from the race organizers with the links of, my finish time, because they could see it when they're working on the website, my finish time, my registration, and I sent this all off to Track Shack. They told me that I should be fine. Next week, we'll find out. Not too big of a deal. They said I'm prepared to stop by runner relations, but to my knowledge, the link is back up. It's been back up since August, maybe September. So I don't exactly know when Run Disney starts verifying those proofs of times that the deadline for Marathon Weekend was July 1st of 2025. Could have been, I don't know. But I wanted all my ducks in a row personally, because I didn't want to be in a situation that wasn't great, So we'll see what happens. And if it's a stop by runner relations next week at the expo, it's a stop by runner relations. But we did chat about it. I'll have the emails pulled up. All of my, I even took like finisher photos to like show like it is me. Because also there's a thing that's in my maiden name as well. So I imagine I might have a little bit of a spicy expo next week, but also I might not. It'll be fine. It's not the end of the world. And just to stop by runner relations of, if you find yourself in a weird situation like this too, let me know. But I don't know. I'll just be nice to the cast member, understand that it is kind of a weird situation, and just, plead my case. Say, here's the proof that I did this. Here's this, and this. But so all that being said, I think that this was a fluke, but I probably will prefer to do that POT qualifying race on a different one. I'm going to prefer to do it a different race near me, whether in Nebraska. Otherwise, I mean, if I rip one out at a Disney race, then great, but I tend to not to plan to do that as much anymore. But, we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll find like a nice fast half in November of next year, or I'll be around, so I'll be able to do like Good Life, which is a pretty big one in Nebraska. So, because fun fact about that half marathon I've been using for my POT is that it was mostly in Iowa, but like it started and finished in Nebraska. So if you're looking at the whole 50 states thing, like personally, I think most of it should count for Iowa, but it started and finished in Omaha, Nebraska. So fun fact. Anywho, but I am, the little teeny blister I have is pretty blister free. Or well, he's not grown. He's pretty much going away. I guess because I claimed a fairy for it. But we do have an addition to the Blister Brigade, and we are keeping the Sleeping Beauty theme. So Lauren said, was listening to the podcast on my 12-mile sim run, re the Sleeping Beauty fairy blisters. And during said run, I developed a blister on my entire left pinky toe that goes all the way to my nail. To maintain the Sleeping Beauty theme, I shall dub him Hubert, after the obnoxious King Hubert, who was, like this blister, a massive PETA. Happy taper crazies to everyone. He is also apparently super mad after her 22-miler the day after. Hate that for you, but I am cracking up. I'm not going to lie. I hope Hubert decides to go away soon and just settles himself down. Or maybe he'll be a friend for you for Marathon Weekend. I don't know. And he'll already be there, and like you can't like aggravate him more. I don't know. But speaking of Marathon Weekend, we are 8 days away from Walt Disney World Marathon Weekend 2026. I'm going to drop in a hydration reminder here. So, hydrate. Start, pushing your hydration, even if it's a little cooler where you're at and you're going to be flying down south. Just start, watching your hydration now. especially, after the holidays. Like I know I imbibed a couple beverages, so I've been really watching my hydration, making sure I'm kind of ready to go. But also my next favorite thing is download your PhotoPass pictures. If you did marathon weekend in 2025 and you are an AP and you still have your photos to download, you should download those. Next week's the last time I can really remind you about that. So download your PhotoPass photos. I actually am ahead of schedule and I did it already. Not just that, I even thought about doing it for Princess. And then I actually got about halfway through the photos, and then at least when you accidentally click one, it pulls up the picture and then it like erases all the check marks you have. And that's really sad. So I gave up on that until after marathon weekend, because then also there's not really a good way to like start in the middle. It'd be awesome if you could like filter by dates and say like starting in February of 2025, because that'll be Princess for me. But well, I'm going to wait till after marathon weekend to get those, just because it's a little bit easier to do that. So either because you can filter oldest to newest or newest to oldest. And you can filter for like Run Disney specific ones in the parks, whatever, but I don't want to miss anything because they're chronologically placed otherwise. So your training weeks, I did not do a mileage update for this. Just really it's kind of maintenance mode at this point. So I hope you had a very good last long run if you're doing the half 5K or 10K, and that you had at least decent weather where you're at. We are 30 days until Disneyland Half Marathon Weekend 2026. That's bananas. I finally actually did some ADRs for that. And by ADRs, I mean, I did Lamplight Lounge like a couple times while I'm there. I don't tend to do like sit downs at Disneyland. I actually never have before, besides Lamplight Lounge, which is more of a lounge, So go on ahead and if you are also like me, very focused on marathon weekend, but just remember Disneyland is coming too, and you're doing Disneyland, it is coming. But yeah, I made a couple Lamplight Lounge reservations, and yeah, still at this point of me recording No Event Guide, I would be thrilled if this puts my foot in my mouth, and that means it releases like Monday afternoon. That'd be sweet. But I am checking and refreshing the event guide page from Halloween. Well, that link, because they're separate links because they exist at the same time as Marathon Weekend. It's like they have a Walt Disney World one and a Disneyland one for a limited time only. But yeah, once it comes out, that'll be exciting. See what the courses look like. I am trying to squeak into the 5K, so I'm like keeping my eyes peeled for a bib. It seems like Dumbo and the half have been reopening quite a bit, so that's exciting. But other than that, I haven't gotten lucky yet, and it's okay if I don't. We are 58 days away from Princess Half Marathon Weekend 2026. 58 means this is 58 from the expo. So your ADR day is here, or is like coming, if you're split staying like I am. But yeah, your ADRs are here. So make your advanced dining reservations. Yeah, that's exciting. It's crazy how that's coming so quickly, because then we're also 61 days from the Tokyo Marathon for Hannah. Can't say much about ADRs there. Don't know. We are 107 days from Springtime Surprise Weekend 2026. Your proof of time deadline is Monday. So before we chat again, so this is your final reminder. This is coming off the outline, guys. So make sure this applies also to your estimated finish time. So it's not just if you are somebody who has POT. It'll be, if you put whatever you put in for your estimated finish time or estimated pace per mile. If you are registering after this point, you are on Zoomy mode, as I like to say. So if I like kind of try to jump into a random opening. All those extra buttons that you got to click to put in a POT, like I'll be up against the clock. Whoops. So that's exciting. I can't believe we're already talking about the final race of the season as well. That's wild because I still feel like things just kicked off. We're also 296 days from Wine and Dine Half Marathon Weekend 2026. That'll be the start of a new Run Disney season next year. Wild. Because Disneyland will glow away temporarily, I'm hoping. We still don't have the official like announcement of the dates. The Run Disney website is pointed toward this year's dates, but I'd anticipate getting them about next week. So around when marathon weekend is, or I bet they will have that language and rationale and stuff like that up. Language and rationale. I mean, like they will probably have the dates being passed out at marathon weekend for next year. I am thinking that, you know, my Delulu hope of Castle to Chateau is for next year is probably not happening, but you know, maybe, I don't know. That'd be cool. Because it's a holiday, there's not really going to be a lot of Disney news because I didn't see anything like massive coming out of the parks for the holidays, which is good. I am going to hit you with a fun fact though. And also like, we're going to kind of go into some news. On this day in 1917, country singer and movie star Wesley Tuttle is born in Lamar, Colorado. You might be asking yourself, who is that? I'd love to tell you. He yodeled as Dopey in Disney's 1937 classic, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. That's super cool. So he's like 19 years old and he yodeled as Dopey. Dopey is the man that now we all obsess over like 100 years later. That's pretty cool. Oh boy, a snow squall. Huh. I usually don't try to interlude any like things like I see on the news, but snow squall is something I probably haven't seen since last holiday season, but okay. All right. So I'm going to go into our main topic for today, which is kind of rides and attractions, kind of a look back at 25, look forward into 26, and go from there. I'll intersperse some fond memories, especially of the ones that are no longer with us. I'm going to go with our goodbyes first. Sad music overlay, I guess. On January 13th of 2025, we said goodbye to Triceratops Spin, Fossil Fun Games, and Chester and Hester's Dinosaur Treasures. So the Marathon Sunday was the last day that you could enjoy those attractions, which I did. I did go enjoy those attractions. I did a couple of the games for a last time. Might have been first time too, to be honest with you. I didn't actually ride Triceratops Spin during that last ride, which I think, or that last day, because it was like a 30+ minute wait and I wanted to do some other things. But I think my last ride on it was Maz and I did that a couple of years ago where we were determined to do all the spinner rides in like a 24-hour period. Because we rope dropped Dumbo once. It was fun. And then we did Triceratops Spin a different day. But I won a game. I won a little Maylin doll from Turning Red. Very cute. It's kind of crazy to have seen a lot of that come down now over the year too. I don't have an exact day on when Cementosaurus came down, but he's down, the big old cement dino. And there's a lot of exciting stuff to come there, but it's a little crazy when you do go back there to see a lot of what currently is there. I am excited for Tropical Americas to eventually come this way. On February 9th, we said goodbye to the Red Car Trolley at Disney's California Adventure. On March 17th, said goodbye to It's Tough to Be a Bug at Animal Kingdom. I did one last go through on that one during marathon weekend, and Hopper is still scary. even at my big age of an adult. Hopper's still kind of creepy, but it was a good ride. I did chuckle a lot at, the different gags and effects that they have in that, where the bugs like rolling underneath your butts and, you getting quote unquote stung by the wasps. So they just shoot like the air out at you. But yeah, that has reopened as Zootopia Better Together. But I gotta wonder what they did with the big Hopper animatronic. Like, he's definitely creepy, and like if he's in the big warehouse behind Magic Kingdom, he's creeping back there too, for sure. On June 8th, 2025, we said goodbye to Muppet Vision 3D and Pizza Rizzo. I will say, out of that sad occasion to say goodbye, was born a wonderful girls trip down for the goodbye to Muppet Vision 3D. Got to meet up with a lot of different friends. There was a lot of different people who loved the Muppets there. It was people in their Muppety best. Just one last go around, and just the engagement from the audience. And it was that was great. I got to meet Heather Henson, which was great. And just kind of talk about Nebraska, which is awesome because she does some charity work out in Nebraska, and just the impact that her dad's legacy as Muppet Vision 3D was one of the last things that Jim Henson worked on. I know I didn't meet him, but my friend Adam did. Steve Whitmore, who is the voice of Rizzo, was around too. So love Rizzo the rat, who stars as himself in A Christmas Carol, a Muppet Christmas Carol. But yeah, it was a very special day. I didn't try to make it for the last show, but as soon as I saw they were distributing wristbands, like the people who I knew like needed to be in that last show, like my friend Adam, I like sent messages. He's like, I'm already on my way. I'm like, good. Thank goodness. Which I think also is a really good way to do that. And I know I talked about that at the time during that girls trip, that I think that that's probably the best way that you can do it, is instead of having people just kind of camp out forever. Like if you have the wristband and they know how many seats are in the attraction, is to get your wristband at the end of for a start of the day. And Heather Henson was the last person who walked into the final showing of Muppet Vision 3D. I also think fondly on the rat pizza, which actually was pretty good. I think the pepperoni did a lot of the heavy lifting for the pizza, to be honest with you, but it actually was pretty good, especially for like a tiny pizza. Like I didn't want like a gigantic piece of pizza anyway. So that and the Italian iced margarita was great, but it was great. I saw so many friends I didn't know were going to be around either. And it was a great time. I mean, it was a very, very fun girls trip. Very spontaneous. I mean, I had made the park pass like a long time ago, but it was just going to drop it so someone else could have it. But then it kind of just came together in a flurry that week, and it was a very fun time. I'm glad I like waited at like almost an hour, actually probably over an hour, for the pictures in front of Miss Piggy Fountain and in front of the marquee for Muppet Vision 3D, because now it's gone. And as I'm watching them desecrate my boy, it's a little sad. But I am excited for the Monsters attraction to come in that area. I think that will be really cool. I wish it didn't have to come at the expense of the Muppets, but I'm still holding on to hope that, because I know how delicately they're preserving everything with Muppet Vision 3D, that maybe once Villains Land opens, they're going to take the Villain show that's behind Rock and Roller Coaster and move that to Villains Land. And then maybe Muppet Vision 3D can go there, or some version of it. I know that we're going to see some iteration of Muppet Vision 3D on the screen, but I know that they're preserving it, so I don't exactly know. I don't know if that was going to come to Disney Plus, but I'm excited for when it does. Love my cheap 3D tricks, and yeah, that was definitely it was cool, definitely super cool to be there for the last day of the ride or of the attraction. And just like, again, you just saw people in their Muppety best, like Miss Piggy, like purses, like Miss Piggy, like cosplay in a way. It was like kind of felt like a Run Disney weekend of like the gathering and union of friends and stuff like that. But it was great. I miss it dearly, I will say. Try not to enter around that area uh, into Galaxy's Edge. On July 7th, the Rivers of America, Tom Sawyer Island, and Liberty Square Riverboat closed in the Magic Kingdom. I did like riding the boat sometimes. And I will miss the water, that it was there. I felt like it was a nice kind of like break in like your kind of like visual eyesight and just kind of nice to be around. I'd say that I'd be a little surprised if they didn't have any kind of water feature or whatever back there, kind of based on the concept art for Villains Land. I'd be a little bit surprised if they didn't. But I also don't really know. Kind of because I think that transition from like Liberty Square and Frontierland into like Villains, and that'll be kind of interesting if they don't have some sort of almost like break in it, but also you probably don't want to almost portal it the way that, I don't know. I was just thinking of the Epic Universe portals. Not that I've been there yet, but because I feel like I've heard some reports that can get a little crowded, but I don't know, actually. My last visit to Tom Sawyer Island was during Mickey's Not So Scary in 2024, where I went there just for the bit. Well, it was in that like hour and a half, like 2 hours before, while the park's still open for regular guests, but it hasn't closed for the party, but like you can get in. I mean, I have an annual pass, so I could get in either way, but that was, I like toddled around a little bit and I'm like, yeah, I think I'm good. I'm done. But it'll be interesting. And it's kind of, it'll be kind of a pretty stark difference from like Walt Disney World to Disneyland, where, we kind of have our hub and spoke, and it is a little bit different between the two parks, but it'll be a pretty big difference between them because there won't be like a Rivers of America or Tom Sawyer Island at Walt Disney World, but there will be at Disneyland. On September 2nd, the Boneyard closed at Animal Kingdom. And then on September 25th, Star Wars Launch Bay closed. Also RIP. But it's kind of cool. They have Darth Vader out like in front of Star Tours. My brother and I did a meet and greet with that during Wine and Dine weekend. That was actually pretty cool because they have like in like the Endor-y scene that's outside by the AT-ATs. So pretty neat. I actually kind of like that. And then also, I don't know, I thought it was a good location for him. But that's all making way for a new experience over in Animation Courtyard. So now that we've talked about things that closed in 2025, we get to talk about things that opened. On May 27th, we got Villains Unfairly Ever After and The Little Mermaid, A Musical Adventure. I have not seen The Little Mermaid yet. I'm very excited to, because that show was closed from COVID time on, and I'm excited to get to see it and see how they refreshed it with the technology, because I always enjoyed it before. I thought the puppet work was really good. I thought it was pretty neat, and I always like seeing live entertainment in Hollywood studios. Villains Unfairly Ever After I have seen. It was great. I think that there's so much that they can do with that show too. I think that like the visual effects are great. I really liked, kind of like the battle down between the three villains of like who is the most unfairly treated. You kind of, as an audience, help pick and like what your opinion is on that. So it's great. I think that there's like, they can probably switch out villains pretty easily. I'd say, like, if they decide, we're going to put Captain Hook on pause for a minute and like we're going to bring in Frollo. I mean, obviously I'm just like campaigning for Frollo, but I think when they do eventually, I think they will eventually move it to Magic Kingdom with Villains Land. That'll be great. Disney Starlight Dream the Night Away opened on July 20th of 2025. It's been fantastic to have a nighttime parade in the Magic Kingdom again for the first time in what feels like forever. I have not gotten a chance to see it yet. I'm hoping to during marathon weekend. Test Track reopened from its closure on July 22nd of 2025. So we have like Test Track 3.0. This is another one I haven't gotten to experience quite yet, but I am excited to. Cali River Rapids reopened from its early seasonal closure on December 12th of 2025. So what they did is it went down early October and then was down for about 2 months, and it went through its refurb. So it is reopened. So if you have big marathon dreams of riding Cali River Rapids, oh God, good luck with that. You can do that. Or, maybe if it's warm enough on other days, we have some upcoming refurbs in seasonal closures. I'm going to start with Walt Disney World and then go over to Disneyland. On January 12th through January 30th of 2026, the boat dock at Wilderness Lodge will be closed and boat transportation will be temporarily suspended during that time. The only reason I bring this up is because it's very popular for dopies to head over to Storybook Dining at Artist Point post-dopey. The 12th is the Monday, so Marathon Metal Monday. You'll just need to take a bus, but I know I could see myself planning to go from my resort to Magic Kingdom and take the boat. And not I'd be grumpy about it, but I would be mad at myself for not thinking about it versus probably what I would do if I were doing that is that I would go from my resort to Hollywood Studios or Epcot and then take a bus. Because if I have to just get on a bus anyway, I don't know if I would want to go all the way up to the Magic Kingdom. Again, not that it's that big of a deal, but I could also see myself trying to hoof it out of Magic Kingdom, going to the boat dock, seeing it's closed and go, ooh. But it's just over 2 weeks of a closure. So just wanted that in mind for those who are going to celebrate their dopey with a meal with the man himself. From January 25th through 31st of 2026, the Disney Skyliner will be down for its annual maintenance. So if you're staying at a Skyliner resort during that time, it's long after Marathon Weekend, long before Princess Weekend. This is about the time that they do it most years. I know that they already have it planned out for 2027 when that's going to be, because they do warn you when the Skyliner is going to be down, which is good because then, if you purposely book POP so that you have the Skyliner, then you can either decide to stay there or adjust your travel plans appropriately. So January 26th through sometime in February 2026, Frozen Ever After will be down because they are debuting new animatronics for Anna, Elsa, and Kristoff. So you'll be able to do it during Marathon Weekend. Tentative on Princess. If it'll be reopened, they say that it's just TBD in February 2026. So I probably wouldn't imagine that it would be early February 2026, but probably I'd say, I don't know, late. Maybe it'll be open for Princess. It'd be really nice if it was because Princess is during Diet Epcot time. So we'll see. So February 14th of 2026 will be Typhoon Lagoon's last operating day before its seasonal closure. And then Blizzard Beach will reopen on February 15th of 2026. And I just confirmed that while you have a water park day for your check-in day for all of 2025, of which we have 2 days left, that perk will return in 2026 in the summer only. So Disney hasn't confirmed what days exactly are summer for them. They just say check back in 2026 for more details. But if you were planning on doing that during Marathon Weekend, you actually will not be able to. You will have to pay for a day. Something that I didn't actually notice in the event guide is if they were ever going to bring back the water park ticket. And if they had a discounted 50% off water park ticket, while they had the check-in day benefit, they didn't have that. But as I'm just doing another scroll through because sometimes we do get updates on the event guide after we talk about it, after we get the original. I just saw something about the Banana Ball game that's in 2026 in May. That's hilarious. That's in the event guide now. But so breaking news, not really probably, but I went into the event guide again, for marathon weekend, there is a water parks tab and there is a Disney water park seasonal pass. Okay. So you can purchase the Disney water park seasonal pass for just $89 plus tax. It's valid for use through May 9th of 2026. There are some blockout dates from March 28th through April 5th of 2026. It's $89 plus tax, which I believe the add-on for your annual pass is going to be, it's about $99. If it's a renewal, it's closer to that $89. But if you anticipate going to multiple race weekends and want to do that, I think that that's probably a good option if you're going to do that. You do also, with this pass, get one round of mini golf redeemable before 4 p.m. on any one date, and then 20% off same-day rentals of the polar patios and beachcomber shacks, which you have to book in person at the water park. It's the cabanas. But interesting. Huh. So in lieu of that pass, you have, or in lieu of the check-in day, which I guess probably makes some sense based on the season. So I am curious if we're going to see both water parks open in the summer again as well, but I don't know. Anyway, that was a slight diversion, but I like to be factual. Okay, so I'm going to talk about some upcoming refurbishments and seasonal closures related to Disneyland. Again, these next ones are going to be for Disneyland only, and I'll try to repeat it just because we have some similar, ride names on the West Coast. From January 5th until February 5th, Incredicoaster will be closed at Disneyland, so it will definitely be down for Disneyland Half Marathon weekend. LOL at me because I definitely went, oh, I'll get it next time. Oh, well. I'm going to just remain optimistic. Maybe they'll soft open. I don't know, but it will be down for the race weekend. Also, from January 5th to a undetermined time is Grizzly River Run. This is its seasonal refurbishment. This is around when Cali River Rapids has its seasonal refurbishment in normal years. Also on January 5th, but with an end date of January 22nd, is Inside Out Emotional Whirlwind, which is on Pixar Pier. That'll be at DCA. All of this will be at DCA where these closures are. That'll have a slight closure, but it'll be reopened for race weekend. From January 12th until the 22nd is the West Coast Haunted Mansion. So they're taking down the seasonal overlay on the West Coast. So it will be back for race weekend, which is exciting. From January 20th to an undetermined time, Rise of the Resistance on the West Coast will be down for refurbishment. So that will probably also be gone for race weekend. Because I'm so often on the East Coast and I don't tend to really go into Galaxy's Edge all that much, if I'm being honest with you, besides the races. I do want to go find Ahsoka this year, but that's about it. I don't tend to, just because the rides themselves are similar, are the same. The layout is pretty similar. So, I don't really tend to go back there personally. If this is your first Disneyland trip and you are a Walt Disney World regular, that is one thing. A lot of similarities with rides. This is a small tangent I'll go on. A lot of similarities with rides. I will encourage you to still do both of them. Galaxy's Edge is one where I will not. If you're a Walt Disney World regular. Now, if you just love Smuggler's Run, then great, do that. I'm not going to stop you, but if you're trying to maximize your time, it's not one where I would say that yes, you absolutely have to, because it is the same ride. They do have single rider. That does change the calculus a little bit, and then Oga's Cantina over on the West Coast has some different treats there. They have a little bit more of a food menu, but if you are trying to save time, besides different walk around characters, Galaxy's Edge is the same as Walt Disney World pretty much. So there's a tip for me. That can be a whole other conversation. January 26th through an undetermined time is that It's a Small World will be down. So they are also taking down the holiday overlay, and it will not be back for race weekend. Wah, wah. Usually it takes about a couple weeks for them to do it, but because they have lots of lights, it's beautiful. They have exterior lights as well, and it'll take some time for that to all come down. So It's a Small World is for, again, just the West Coast. Walt Disney World's It's a Small World is not going to be down at that time. So we have a couple upcoming permanent closures that we're aware of at this time. February 2nd of 2026 is Dinosaur and Restaurantosaurus's extinction date. So the last day of operation will be on the 1st of February. And we have early 2026 for Monsters, Inc., Mike and Sully to the Rescue, but we don't have an official date set yet. So, interesting. I thought it would be gone by the time I went back for race weekend, and Mike and Sully to the Rescue is in Disney's California Adventure. And so I think I probably will be able to get on that one more time, because that's going to close to make way for the Avatar area in California Adventure. So upcoming openings, got a pretty good amount. On January 8th of 2026, Wondrous Journeys will return. It was gone for Halloween and the holidays at Disneyland. So it's a nighttime projection show plus fireworks sometimes. And it will run through August 9th of 2026. The thing is about fireworks at Disneyland is that they tend to do them closer to usually the weekends. If not, if it's windy, because Anaheim, it's more in a residential area. If it's windy, they can't really do fireworks. They don't have an entire complex the way that Walt Disney World does. On January 30th of 2026, Paint the Night also returns. So it was gone for the holidays, and it will also run through August 9th of 2026. Those coincide with the date of the 70th anniversary celebration ending for Disneyland. So I'm super stoked that Paint the Night will be back in time for race weekend. It's such a good parade. If you are trying to plan out your nighttime entertainment and knowing that if it's a race weekend, you probably can't do quite as much because you have to go to bed early so you can get up early, Paint the Night is definitely one that you want to prioritize if you can. Like, I might go into Disneyland just to see Paint the Night on that first day, assuming I don't get the 5K bib, and then leave for the day. Perks being a key, I'll probably do maybe a little bit more. But anyway, on March 22nd of 2026, Bluey will debut at Disneyland at the Fantasyland Theater in Disneyland Park. So Bluey's going to do a little show with her sister Bingo. So big day for Bluey fans everywhere. On May 22nd of 2026, we're getting a new mission on Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, inspired by the Mandalorian and Grogu movie that comes out on the same day. And this will debut both in Hollywood Studios at Smuggler's Run and in Disneyland Park in Galaxy's Edge. So that's super exciting. I know some of the changes that they're going to make is, making the engineer a little bit more important, and it'll be a cool refresh to the ride for sure. I'm going to go through instead of going sequentially necessarily, because some of these are just loose dates, I'm going to go through what I actually have a real date for right now, and then circle back to some of the other things. On July 2nd of 2026, Soarin' Across America at Disneyland will debut. Now, this will come to both California Adventure and Epcot, and it's a limited time bi-coastal offering, but it's coming to Epcot, they say, by Memorial Day 2026. So it should come to Walt Disney World in Epcot a little bit earlier. Not exactly sure what day, though. But keep you posted when we learn more about what the actual opening day is going to be. But that'll be kind of interesting to have a third version, a third show scene. I mean, they will only run one show at a time, right? When we have over California, over World, over America, that's just what they run. They don't it's not like it's a situation like Star Tours where we'll switch between, as much as I think it'd be cool if they did. It'll just run for the period of time, and it's to celebrate the United States 250th anniversary. So back to some of our fuzzy dates that we have. Spring of 2026, Walt Disney World, we're going to see Big Thunder Mountain Railroad reopen. It's been down since January 6th of 2025. We will also see Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin reopen, and that's been down since August 4th of 2025. And just to refresh a little bit, Buzz Lightyear is seeing enhanced blasters. They seem to have enhanced the ride vehicle. You're getting a new buddy type of robot friend, which will be exciting. And does seem like there's not necessarily going to be a 99999 max score anymore, which, okay, I'll get used to it eventually. Also, if we pick up blasters for Buzz Lightyear, and that'll be exciting. A little nervous. Not nervous because it's a ride, but Buzz Lightyear is obviously very, very near and dear to my heart. Summer 2026, we'll get Rock and Roller Coaster starring the Muppets. Don't have an exact date quite yet. They've already taken down the pre-show for Rock and Roller Coaster starring Aerosmith. So you just walk through that area at this point. And yeah, so they're working on the pre-show behind the scenes. I really am curious how like that'll impact marathon weekend shenanigans. If that's going to make things like easier to get through a single rider, I think that would be something I would try to Lightning Lane if I'm going to try to do that. I have to think about that because that day is coming quickly on what I can do with relation to if I want to do any kind of shenanigan land with rides and stuff like that for the marathon. But that's another conversation altogether. We're going to see a phased opening in summer of 2026 of the Walt Disney Studios lot, which is the replacement of Animation Courtyard, which is where we're going to get an animation experience. They're going to reopen like a Mickey Mouse Clubhouse type of show in the Disney Junior area. So I don't exactly know what's coming first. I would imagine they're probably going to try to get the kiddie show back up because I feel like that's the one thing that I've seen like a more concrete date on, but just this phased opening during the summer. So we'll hear more. Summer 2026 is that Bluey will arrive at Conservation Station in Animal Kingdom. So I guess if I had to guess, it'll be around when they move over the animation experience that's currently at Conservation Station. So exciting for fans of Bluey. And then big TBD on this next one. Because actually there's two that there's a bit of a TBD on. So the Walt animatronic that debuted at Disneyland for the 70th anniversary is going to come to the Carousel of Progress in Magic Kingdom, but we don't know when. If it will even be in 2026, to be honest. Now, sometimes I feel like they make sneaky updates to Carousel of Progress in Magic Kingdom. Oh, not under the cover of darkness, but I know when they like, changed a bunch of the outfits that they're wearing, and that's a little bit different than debuting a new animatronic, but we don't exactly know when that's going to happen, when Carousel of Progress will go down, but we'll, again, keep you posted when it does. And then also Avengers Infinity Defense, which is the new ride over in California Adventure. One of two that are coming to Avengers Campus. Construction began in 2025. I'm not sure if it will open in 2026, but it could. I mean, a lot of things could happen. Don't exactly know about that. Let's see. I'm definitely excited to see an expansion to Avengers Campus and that to build out. I think it's such a cool little area. I love running through it for the races, and I'm excited to do so again. I have my mission to go see Wanda well, that's my own personal mission. I have my missions for my boss as well for Marathon Weekend, but we can get to those. But I think it'll be so cool to have like new rides and such, and just they really pack a lot into a small area. It's not like a gigantic area, but they pack a lot in. I think that the character meet and greets, well, just one thing about Disneyland in general is, Rumfit Mama says it best. It's like, you're just kind of going about, and the Disneyland characters are like doing, like just spending their day the way that they would do it. And you just happen to be there. More so than like, it's like, oh my gosh, celebrity. But it's kind of cool because I've like just like kind of like chilled walking behind Peter Quill before Guardians, just like, he was just minding his business. So I'm really hoping that I find Wanda during this upcoming trip. But I think it'll be really neat. I guess some of the other exciting things, I'm really excited to see how the Muppets get incorporated into Rock and Roller Coaster. I know that that's a controversial thing and not everybody is into the Muppets as I am. That's fine. I'm probably not even as into the Muppets as others are. But I'm excited to see how that changes things. I think it'll be funny. I really hope they bring in like you've got a minute and a half thing from the gag for any, like a couple little gags from Muppet Vision 3D if possible. But I think it'll be neat. Let me see, kind of scrolling back through. I'm so excited that Paint the Night will be back. I guess I didn't realize that it was gone, to be honest with you, but it makes sense that while they have holiday offerings that they don't run that. But just in time for me to return. I really want to hit up World of Color this time where I missed that one. It's World of Color Happiness. And then there's a lot to come as well where Tropical Americas and Animal Kingdom, the new Cars Land, new Villains Lands, that'll eventually come. Those will be 2027 or later. I feel like at best. I know 2027 was what was quoted for Tropical Americas, so that'll be really exciting. When that does reopen, I think that kind of like a phased closure was probably the way to do that of Dino Land, because it keeps some stuff rolling. I will be kind of sad to see the character meet and greets go, but RIP Antlerosaurus. Okay. But there was a lot of things I feel like we said goodbye to, but there's a lot of really exciting things coming up as well. And it's crazy that we're just 2 days away from a brand new year. Feels like we were just like at this point a year ago, which yeah, it was a year ago, but it's crazy. It was a very, very quick year. And I wanted to kind of express a little bit of gratitude for that because it was, I don't know, it was definitely a year. I'm very thankful to all of you guys as our community and what you guys have done to brighten our days and such throughout this year. I mean, all the support that I got for the Chicago Marathon was outstanding. And I really, really, really am thankful and grateful to the bottom of my heart for that. I felt like I had a lot of people really looking out for me and such, and, you know, tracking me and all the messages. And even though I wasn't being super responsive to them, that's pretty normal for me for a race, that I'm really trying to hoof it on. But it doesn't go unnoticed. It didn't go unnoticed at all. And I'm very, very, very thankful for it. And, you know, those of you who have invested in me and your internet friend and such. And I'm really excited for Marathon Weekend coming up. I think it'll be really great. I'm really just looking ahead also to 2026. I've got some exciting stuff in the works as well. And I don't know, it's been a great honor and pleasure to be along for the ride. And I can't wait to kind of continue things on and, you know, just be at Marathon Weekend with everybody. I think that the race weekends themselves, you know, as I always say over on Rise and Run, it's the victory lap for all of the hard work. So I'm excited to be among friends. I'm excited to just, you know, be among the Run Disney family and enjoy everything, you know, and make core memories with people. And, you know, we never know what's going to happen during Marathon Weekend, but I think that it's, you know, even when things don't go the way we wanted them to necessarily, there's a lot of valuable experiences and just kind of the fun of it, right? Like, I don't know. I think it was almost like a core memory day for the half of a half in 2024. Yeah, it wasn't ideal, and it kind of stunk that like we didn't get to do the full half marathon, the entirety of the half marathon. And, you know, it was a lot of highway and then it started raining and stuff. But, you know, a lot of us kind of just shrugged our shoulders, went, okay, well, and just did what we, you know, got the miles in. We had silly plans to like do toilet paper finish lines. And I was like, oh, okay, it's lightning. We're not going to do that. And it was fun. It was really fun. Made the most of it. And I think that that's an important aspect to do because, you know, this will be my 5th marathon. 3rd Dopey, 4th Walt Disney World Marathon, then Chicago. So I think that being able to make the most of an experience, whether or not you're doing the marathon, but I'm just going to reflect on that for a second. I think that being able to make the most of the experience is just the best way to do it. You might not have exactly the day you wanted, but sometimes you get the day you needed, and the day that you actually did train for, especially if training didn't go the way you wanted it to. So I'd say make the best of the experiences, and stop for the character. If you can get on Everest, do it. Even if you don't want to do that, if you just want to kind of wave from afar because you're just cooking the way I have the last couple marathons, great. But yeah, definitely try to enjoy and soak up every moment because it's so special. The Walt Disney World Marathon Sunday is so, so, so special. So be there for the people around you too. You never know who can use a bright word or, a little bit of encouragement. Sometimes I've gotten just the most random kind of hey, you're doing a great job, just from a stranger that I've passed or I've been leapfrogging with a little bit. And that's stuck with me as time has gone on. And so I try to be that encouragement to somebody else. And sometimes I do get a little obnoxious with it, with how I was at Wine and Dine this year of making sure I cheered on everybody around me, or I saw coming out of Blizzard Beach, or, they were going into Blizzard Beach while I was coming out. So I tried to do as much cheering as possible for that, because you never know who needs it around you. And also it makes me feel good too, to be woohoo, like a little woo girl, just reincarnate the sorority girl of years past and just enjoy the experience and try to brighten it up for someone else, if possible. But again, you never know who kind of needs a little boost around you. And so look out for those around you, enjoy. It's so special, and I can't wait to just be back and in the bubble. If you're feeling a little nervous, I feel I like to say it'd be weird if you weren't scared. You don't need to be scared, but if you weren't oh my gosh, this is crazy that I'm doing this distance. And again, this applies from your 5K through your dopey if you're doing a 5K, 10K half, and this is the first time you're doing that. It's okay to have some nerves, right? It'd be weird. That's a lot of miles in a couple days. It'd be weird if you weren't a little nervous about it. Right. So definitely, lean on the energy of other people around you. Kind of give that back if you are in the position to, and just enjoy the ride. Enjoy hearing DuckTales probably way too many times. And yeah, well, I'll see you guys in 2026. If you enjoy listening to our show, please leave us a review and a 5-star rating. We love reading your reviews out loud. You might even be featured on a future podcast episode. We have a community spotlight on our Instagram at Stride Sisters Podcast. If you want to be featured for a Medal Monday, Finish Line Friday, or any accomplishment you want to celebrate, send us a picture via our social media platforms or our email. And to continue the fun, join us on our Facebook page. All the ways to connect with us can be found in the show notes. Thanks for listening. Until our next adventure, we're wishing you endless miles of magic and memories. See you next time.